Daniel.
Good to be back, Paulie. How are you?
Good. It's been a long break. A little ant on my screen. Um, how are you?
I'm really good. I'm excited to explore this topic about sleep, about social life, about navigating choices in terms of prioritizing your sleep or your social life. Yeah, I'd love to hear some thoughts about your experience with that. Obviously, it's been the holiday period,
Yeah,
kind of still is
yeah.
to some degree. How are you finding it all?
Well, I find choices between sleep, socializing. I find it incredibly tough. I'm somebody that in the past has really suffered from FOMO, and I just have always been an incredibly social person. I get energy from interacting with others, but I also wake up at an incredibly early hour. I'm an early riser. I've been conditioned to that for over 15 years because of my work, and I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way now. But what I've also realized is if I'm up at 5:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning and I am asked out for dinner at, you and I both used to play music, and I still have some very close friends in the music world who have remained in the music world. And, they asked me out for a drink at 10:30 at night. And I'm like, excuse me? And, they'll expect to just be out and about until 12:30. And then I do a quick calculation. And we talk about this a lot with our clients. We reverse engineer our morning back to the nighttime. And if I'm like, getting out my little abacus and going, right, 5 o'clock wake up, I'm finishing drinks at 12:30 in the morning, I'll have a grand total of 4 hours sleep. So it just doesn't work, right? But there is that aspect of, for me, being an extrovert and gaining energy from interaction with others, and I love it, and I know that I have a thirst for that. But I also understand that that sleep is such a powerful thing, and you may be able to get away with one night of lacking sleep, but if you do that, and one night in like a blue moon uh, of lacking sleep, but if you do that on a regular basis, your body, your mind, and your relationships are going to suffer dramatically as a result.
Mm. Yeah, it's such a unique topic that I know all of us are going through, and sleep in itself is its own world that we can unpack in various different ways. Um, I've just bought the book Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, which I'm really excited to read. I've heard tons of podcasts with him as well, and yeah, looking forward to going through that. But I guess, for me, the last 3 nights, I'm just spontaneously waking up at 4 in the morning. And I'd love to say it's because of my 6-month-old daughter, Sailor, but it's actually not. I've just been naturally waking up at 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
And sometimes kind of going back to sleep, but if I do, it doesn't happen for like an hour or so after that. And regardless of what's going on between, those moments that I'm awake at 4 in the morning, now it's the afternoon time, and tonight I actually have a social arrangement, and I feel like I haven't slept much for the last 3 days, like proper good, juicy, rejuvenating sleep. And yet it's like, because I'm just completely aware of the situation, I know that I've made the plan. I know that I'd prefer to go to sleep. I invite all those thoughts to come to the party, but really know, like, that's the commitment I've made. And whether it be, I mean, I do have an early start tomorrow, and I do pray for a good night's sleep. But what's really clear is that fundamentally, I'm fine regardless. And if it means that I have to have a chop out at some point in time, at some point in the day tomorrow, or an early night tomorrow night, like, it's just, one day at a time approach, fundamentally knowing that, all of us can always operate pretty well without lots of sleep. I mean, obviously it might be age dependent, of course. My 2.5-year-old has just dropped her midday sleep, and she's getting used to being awake for a lot longer, and that presents a whole other array of challenges for her and her sleep hygiene. But well, that's another topic. But just that awareness that like we can all still function perfectly. It's just when we indulge the fact that we haven't had sleep, which means I'm going to be grumpy, or I'm going to be moody, or I'm going to be less energetic or less extroverted. To me, these are just kind of like games we're feeding ourselves, or we have been fed. But fundamentally, we are just completely fine to operate, whether we're not eating much or whether not drinking much, water that is, or not sleeping much. Ultimately, we can just get through it, and we know that things will reset. It's never an ongoing period. It's always just, one day at a time, and who knows what happens next. That's always an approach that works for me. The last 3 days have been great testament to that, because I've been quite busy. I've had less sleep. I'm going out tonight. We can talk tomorrow and see how it goes. But that's been the journey of those last 3 days.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, it's a great thing to be able to honor arrangements, and sometimes, and you'll know when that time is, even if you have arrangements and you just know that your body's crying out for something, it's also very understandable for you to be able to honor your biology and to be able to say, you know what, I actually need a rest. And you're right, it's a day-to-day, moment-to-moment kind of proposition. But ultimately, being able to get a good glimpse of your week and understand where you may be a little bit looser with your sleeping arrangements, and not necessarily make up your sleep the day after, because the science doesn't really back that up, but to be able to say, I'm going to be pretty stringent with my sleeping plans the other days of the week. That's also a really, really valuable experience.
Yeah, I'll just share one thing because it could be a valuable tip. I just had a conversation with a client about this, on that Sunday evening, to just have a look at the week ahead and just knowing when you want to train. If it means an early start, then it means like that night before, that might be a time to block out for just like an early night. And so if you have some flexibility in your days or your mornings and your evenings, you'll know when to engage in social engagements and interactions, and when to actually have that blocked out time for just prioritizing an early night. And the same with the morning. It's like maybe you've got a bit more wiggle room. You can have an extra half an hour sleep. Maybe that pairs with having a night out that night before. So you can be really skillful here, and it's just like how much do you want to investigate what's possible for getting the best night's sleep?
Yeah, it's about strategy. Like, I mean, not to reduce it to like a work task, but it is. You can create systems around it. You really can. You can take a macro look at your week, and you can say where am I going to be skillful here with my sleeping patterns, and where am I going to get my energy from?
Amazing. Well, sleep well.
And same to you, brother. Sleep well, guys, and thanks for the chat.